I'm sitting here looking at myself in the monitor on the camera recorder as I've turned it on, and I say, God, that looks ugly. What a frightening character. Another talking head video. And yet, I like watching talking head videos. I like to look at people as they talk. I like to watch them, as they're speaking and expressing their emotions and so forth. And yet, when I look at myself doing that, I go, oh God, what an image I'm putting out into the world. There are a few times I like the image. Like after I shave and I'm all clean shaven and everything, I kind of go, okay, he looks okay. But most of the time, when I'm looking at the camera, I suck. Yesterday I was watching a video, I think it was on that commercial company, Lonely Girl 15, that was putting out a video, and there was a beautiful, absolutely drop-dead gorgeous woman being interviewed so she could practice being interviewed. And that's what the storyline was. And she was saying, oh, I don't like it, I don't sound good, I don't look good on video. And I'm going, oh yeah, this is drop-dead gorgeous. And isn't that the case, that we all just kind of judge ourselves harsher than anybody else will judge us? I mean, we are our worst critic, we're our worst judge. When I look at biblical stuff, they're talking about the judgment of God. And the reality is, we're that God. That's that inner voice inside of us that doesn't like something we see about ourselves. And the one we have to live with. When we die, or we have to go to Judgment Day, and dying is just stopping and being still. Why are so many people out there afraid to just be still and sit and meditate? Because they're afraid of that criticism, that judging voice inside of them that they can't deal with. They're afraid of that. Now, primitive or immature people think that God is some deity flying around the sky and is going to be judging you. But mature people, like even Jesus, said, no, you're the God. You're the one that's doing this. And you're the one with all the power to stop doing it. And some of us have overcome that to the most degree, that, in our self-judgment. We still want that judgment because it motivates us to be more than we are, to get off our lazy or cowardly butts and to go out and to explore life and to do things to have a life. And that's good. But to judge somebody for their appearance, to judge yourself for shallow things or the past, and I find it, I judge myself for the past if I haven't learned from it. Once I've learned from it and become aware of the thing that it was trying to teach me, then I go, no, it's fine. The sin, as you might say, is gone. No, that's exactly the thing I wanted to do. And later, as I look at the sin, so-called sin of missing the mark, I realized if I hadn't gone through that experience, I wouldn't be able to become aware of it today. And that, therefore, was a requirement of raising my consciousness and making me a more loving, peaceful person, or able to enjoy and love life as offering. So it wasn't really a sin, it was just part of the process of waking up. And once we keep that process, keep seeking, and we get to a point where we realize that we are God, or part of God, one with God, as Jesus did, and as he taught out there, although the Christians don't get that. It's the last thing the Christians will get, but that's what Jesus taught right there in the Bible, that we're all God's, and that we're all one, and that we're part of God, part of him, we're all together. And that's part of the message, is that we are all one. And when we feel guilty for doing something to others that we feel is harming them or harming ourselves, until we realize that person over there is me, I am them, then we'll start treating them as we want to be treated. And if we do that, we're not sinning. Can't sin. There's no such thing as sin. So the whole process, the concept of sin is there to motivate us to realize that we're one. And once we have that realization, then it's all good. There's no such thing anymore. And like Jesus said, be perfect as the Father in heaven is perfect. And here I go. I look at myself when I go, be perfect, and my lips go up, God, that's creepy look. And yet, that's That's what Jesus said. Be perfect as the Father in heaven is perfect. That means whole and complete, lacking nothing, without flaw. That's the definition of the word perfect. To be without flaw. To see yourself as without flaw, without sin. That was Jesus' way. In Jesus' example, he didn't think of himself as a sinner. And that's not Paul's way, or Peter, or John, or James, or the other apostles who taught, who created Christian Antichrist, the way of the Antichrist. They discourage you from thinking like Jesus and following Jesus' way. And that's sad to me. And I constantly want to confront those sick people who tell you to encourage or discourage you from following Jesus' way. Because Jesus' way was healthier in this perspective. That's true. He was just like one of us. He screwed up. He got stupid just like we all do. And we can recognize his stupidity and his unhealthy, his unholiness. But he had a lot of good ideas. Unfortunately, the Christians don't get it. That's why Gandhi would say, when somebody asks Gandhi about Christianity, he says, well, I like your Christ. I don't care much for your Christians. For your Christians are so unlike their Christ. And that is true, because Christ is the way of the Antichrist. It literally discourages people from following Jesus' way and has no desire to encourage them to think like Jesus, to be like Jesus. Jesus called nobody Lord in this world, and he wouldn't want you to do that either, didn't want you to do that, and yet they all want you to do that. So the end of a talking head talk. Someday, maybe I'll come up with something more creative. I just want to post what I'm feeling. Thanks for watching.